Good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone. Welcome. It's great to be back in person in a beautiful morning in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. And it's just great to see people in person again. So welcome to the Acadia Alumni Association 2022 Annual General Meeting. My name is Donalda, President of the Alumni Association and graduate of the class of 1975. I will be chairing our meeting this morning. I would like to open this association's meeting by acknowledging that we are located in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I would like to advise all annual general meeting attendees that this session is being recorded and will be uploaded to our alumni website following the meeting for the benefit of our greater alumni community. And before we get started, I would just like to remind everyone of some of the technology asks for a successful hybrid meeting. And so for those joining us on Teams, you will be muted throughout the meeting. We also ask that you please turn off your camera unless you are speaking. We find that turning your camera off will improve the quality of the broadcast. And I would also like to point out that we have provided time in the agenda for questions, and I would ask that you hold any general questions until that time. If you have questions during the meeting, please virtually raise your hands using the hand icon as noted on the slide, and you will be unmuted at an appropriate time so you can ask your question. Please note that, of course, depending upon your device that you're using, the configuration of the view may be different than depicted on your screen. So I'm joined in this meeting today by the officers and directors of the Alumni Association Board. And just for the benefit of those not here in person, we're showing all the lovely faces of our great board members. So, and we have an extremely engaged and very involved board, which we're very thankful for, and we do appreciate the fact that they take the time to volunteer for this very important role. And we're also joined here today by members of the Advancement Office that support the Alumni Association. And we certainly couldn't do very much of what we do without the great assistance of the staff in Advancement. So our great, we have great thanks for how these individuals make our work a lot easier. So thank you for that as well. And also joining us today for the annual general meeting from Acadia University are Dr. Peter Ricketts, President of the University, Interim Vice President of Advancement Nancy Hendigan, Class of 1992, Executive Director of Alumni Affairs, Office of Advancement, Una Proudfoot, she's in the back of the room, Class of 93 and 2006, and our Chancellor of Acadia University and alumnus, Dr. Bruce Galloway. Thank you, Dr. Galloway, for being here, Class of 1968 and 2003. Lastly, and most important, we have alumni from across Canada and international on this call and in person, representing graduates of Acadia from the 1950s through 2021. So welcome and thank you all for joining us this morning. I would like to mention that we will, during the meeting, be referring to our 2021-2022 annual report. And this report was circulated to you in advance of this meeting and has or will be posted on our alumni website as well for you to review. So with those introductory remarks, I believe it is in order to call the 2022 Acadia Alumni Association Annual General Meeting to order. And I would like to confirm to members present that we have quorum for the meeting. So the first order of business for our meeting is to approve the agenda, which can be found on page 2 of the annual report. And I would ask David Davidson if he could make that motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you, David. And seconder. Thank you, Kelly. So motions before this meeting are decided by a simple majority of votes. Each member has one vote, and silence is considered a vote in favor of the motion. For each motion, there will be a call for votes in favor of the motion, against the motion, and a call for those who wish to abstain. So with those parameters, all those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda circulated, and as I've already said, silence is considered deemed to be a vote in favor of the motion. A little awkward, but that's the best way to work with the technology. Are there any members present opposed to this motion? If so, please indicate your opposition to the motion by raising your hand. Thank you. Are there any members present who wish to abstain from voting on this motion? So please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, I declare this motion carried. Thank you. The second order of business on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of our last annual general meeting on May 8th of 2021. And those can be found on page 3 of the annual report. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the annual general meeting held on May 8th, 2021?
I so move.
Thank you, Jeff. And a seconder, please. Thank you, Heather. All those in favor of the motion, as noted, silence is deemed to be a vote in favor of the motion. Are there any members present opposed to this motion? So please indicate by raising your hands. Are there any members present who wish to abstain from voting on the motion? Seeing no hands, I declare this motion carried. And with that, I would like to ask Dr. Ricketts to come forward and provide some greetings to the association. Thank you, Dr. Ricketts.
Thank you, Donalda. And congratulations on passing the minutes. I was recently at a meeting where it took 40 minutes to approve minutes. Yeah. Congratulations. Morning, everybody, and welcome. It's a great pleasure to be with you here at the annual general meeting, the first in-person AGM for 3 years. This will be 2019, the last time we gathered for this meeting, I think, in person. It is a great pleasure to see you all here, and also those of you who are watching online from wherever you are. Welcome to Acadia, welcome to the campus. And it is a beautiful day here in the valley, and we're looking forward to not jinx the weather, but I'm hoping it will be a beautiful weekend in terms of the weather cooperating for our graduates, and we'll be just so looking forward to the ceremonies this weekend. And finally, again, for the first time in 3 years, celebrating in person with our graduating class. It's going to be very, very, very special. I do want to thank the association. I want to thank the board of directors. I want to thank Donalda for her wonderful work as your president, who she has represented the association so well during what's been a very difficult period of time to be president of anything. And she's also done so in a way that has really helped and supported the university. And through her, through the board, through the executive and the board of directors, all of you as members of the Alumni Association have truly, tangibly, intangibly, through actual deeds and works, but also through your thoughts and your passion and your support for this university, you've helped us get through this last 2 years. And it has not been easy, but we've made it. And I'm pleased to report that your alma mater has survived the pandemic. We have survived it in one way from a position of strength, because I think from fiscal and from a sort of an institutional perspective, we are in a much stronger position than we could well have been, and that we feared that we would be in. And I think we're in a very strong position to recover from the impacts of the pandemic and take on this new phase of the world with new vigor and optimism, and really kind of accept the challenges that are facing us now. And from that perspective, I'm very, very grateful for that. And it's been a community effort. Everybody on campus has worked together to make sure that we've done this. On a human side, I think we're very fragile, quite frankly. We've had a very difficult term. As you know, we had difficult labor negotiations with the Faculty Association. We had a 4-week strike, and that, you don't come out of that without a lot of bruises and a lot of even internal bleeding. So you have to, I think as we go forward, we're very, very cognizant of the fact that we have to work very hard, not only to help the community recover from the impacts, the social, mental, and cultural and personal impacts of the pandemic, and all it's done in terms of the disruption to their lives, but also, of course, the impact of the strike. So we've got our work cut out for us to make sure that we build faith and trust and confidence within the community and move forward. I know we can do it, but it's going to be, a challenge, and it's not something that I would sugarcoat and say that it's all going to be smooth sailing. But again, the support of this association is absolutely critical, and I want to thank you for your support during the period of the strike, because I know how divisive that was and how difficult that was for many of you as, all of you as graduates of this university, many of you as parents and students who are at the university, and, knowing how difficult that was to manage through as to how could you possibly allow a strike to happen when we all know that the big losers in such a situation are our students. And so, I appreciate those tensions and pressures, but I do thank you for supporting the university. And I don't mean supporting, the administration's position on anything, but just supporting the university during that very, very difficult period. And I appreciate that. And as I do also appreciate our students who did a very good job of seeing themselves through that, because that was the last thing they needed on top of the impact. So we're looking forward to the future, and we're looking forward to, I think, an exciting future. There's huge opportunities, out of trials and tribulations come opportunities, and we're going to take them. And I think, as I said earlier, we're in a good position to do that. I want to thank our Chancellor. Bruce is here, and he's been so incredibly supportive, as indeed our entire board of governors, of whom are made up very significantly of alumni of this university. The board has been very supportive, very strong, and also, I say, from my own personal view, very supportive of me. And I appreciate that deeply. And so thank you very much, Bruce, and Henry Damone as the board chair has been fantastic, and indeed the whole board has been very, very supportive. But also the board has been very, good at challenging us, as indeed have you. We have great issues to deal with, and we couldn't just set everything aside and focus on COVID. We had to deal with many issues, and so, I think particularly on the area of equity, diversity, and inclusion and anti-racism, I want to thank the association for making that a priority, as indeed the university has, and indeed our board has as well. And we are moving forward on that. And I know that as we move forward, we move forward slowly, and people would like us to move faster. And I hope that we can pick up the pace, and I hope that we can do some really good things to make Acadia the incredibly welcoming and inclusive community that we know it is, but it can do better and we will do better. I want to thank you for helping us reimagine our career services and co-op program, because that is so critical for our students today. They need to be, it's not like the old days where you graduated from university and then everybody, you just sort of picked which place you wanted to go and work. And I know it wasn't necessarily that easy for you, but you know what I mean. There was a time where people would come and seek out university graduates, and today it's much more of a hard slog for our graduates to find that all-important first career step. And so using your talents and your incredible network and your experience to help our students do that, and also helping the university to provide that service to our students, getting them thinking about their career paths and what they want to do in their university life, from the very moment they set foot on the campus. That's very, very support that. That's very important, and I appreciate the work of the association in doing that. I appreciate your help with recruitment. I think we referred to the student cars that were at the awards dinner and were just a fantastic idea. And all the things that you do. I just am deeply, deeply appreciative of it. On behalf of the university, I say thank you. Thank you very much. On a final note, I just wanted to mention, I know that varsity athletics is very close to many of you. We were delighted to hire a new athletics director this year. I was very worried. How do you replace Kevin Dickey? What a difficult job. But Brian Finnis has come in and he's doing a great job. And although this kind of was really carried forward from Kevin's time, the fact that we got 150 academical Canadians this year, that is astonishing. I mean, I used to go on and on about getting over 100 and then getting 120 and 125. But 150 for a small university like Acadia, 52%, 53% of our athletes recognized as academical Canadians, goes to the heart of what this university is about. Excellence. Excellence in everything you do. Excellence in academics, excellence in athletes, excellence in community engagement, and excellence in being proud alumni of the university. So thank you all very, very much, and I wish you all a wonderful meeting. I hope those of you who are able to take part, will enjoy the convocation celebrations, and I look forward to working with you to make Acadia even greater than it is. Thank you. No, it's really up to you because you've got business to do. And if anybody would like to ask questions, I'd be happy to. And I know I've got to stand here so that everybody else can see me, because usually I like to wander around. I was given instructions when I came in. Let us stay at the boat. Yes.
Well, if there's no questions, then thank you very much.
Well, thank you all very much.
Great. Appreciate having you here.
Thanks.
Okay, so next on our agenda is the 2021-2022 annual report. And so I'll start with the president's report, and that is, I believe, on page 6, annual report, for those who want to follow along the annual report. So on behalf of the Alumni Association Board of Directors, I am happy to report that our work on behalf of the Acadia's alumni and our Acadia community has continued at a renewed pace in 2021-2022. And this wouldn't be possible without, as I've already said, the amazing support we received from the alumni office staff. And I would be remiss if I did not specifically thank Executive Director of Alumni Affairs, Linda Proudfoot, Senior Alumni Officer Melanie Jackson, and the Advancement Office staff for their ongoing support as we execute the programs and initiatives that have been identified through our strategic plan, Mobilizing Connections. With the pandemic health crisis continuing through most of the year, We continue to operate in the largely virtual world. The full alumni board met 3 times in May, October, and February. And we managed to have a hybrid board meeting during homecoming weekend in October, with 14 members attending in purpose on campus and 6 virtually. We again hosted our alumni backyard barbecue prior to the homecoming football game against Bishops, and we had live music provided by the non-refundables, a band led by Tony Newcomb, class of '92. Homecoming in a Box initiative was once again very popular with our alumni near and far, and who shared how they were celebrating homecoming away from campus. For the first time ever, we also hosted our Acadia Alumni Awards Night virtually on May 31st of 2021, where we recognized 9 very deserving alumni recipients. The Executive Committee of the Alumni Association met monthly. Our standing committees of the board, including finance, governance, awards, communications, nominations, young alumni, and events, met regularly as needed. These committees do drive the majority of the day-to-day work of the association throughout the year, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the board of directors, committee chairs, and committee members for their work, dedication, and professionalism this past year. One of the very important roles of the Alumni Association is the nomination of alumni to serve as governors on Acadia's Board of Governors. The association appoints 12 members to the Board of Governors who serve 6-year terms. This year, the nominations committee of the board, the Alumni Association recommended 5 individuals for appointment to the Board of Governors. And they are Mr. Clive Anderson from Singapore, class of '89, Ms. Shauna Lespier, class of '89 from Bermuda, Ms. Tracy McGilvery, class of '87 and '15 from Ottawa, Ms. Pam Mood, class of '82 from Yarmouth, and Mr. Martin Suter, class of '88 from Wolfville. And the nominations committee also recommended the reappointment of Charles Cole, '84, to a 2nd term as governor. We would like to thank all individuals who responded to our requests for expressions of interest. Appointments to the Board of Governors occur regularly, and we encourage alumni interested in serving as a governor to respond by submitting an expression of interest to Una Proudfoot, our Executive Director of Alumni Affairs. We would also like to thank our most recent appointees for their commitment to serve as governors of the university. As indicated in the 2021-22 financial report submitted by our treasurer, Tammy Walker, the financial position of the Alumni Association remains strong. The Alumni Association is very grateful for the financial support we receive from alumni and our affinity partners that permit us to provide our programming and initiatives throughout the year. The Alumni Association has been working closely with the Office of Advancement this year to revitalize the alumni funds and to provide better information on how donations to the fund are used to help the Alumni Association undertake its work. So quickly, key Alumni Association accomplishments for 2021-2022, which have been on the screen, is we've provided financial support for student recruitment efforts, for alumni affairs and alumni programming, the class of 21 gift for graduates, and $10,000 in immediate funding to the Acadia Students Union and Student Services to provide support to our students during the faculty strike in February. In conjunction with the university and their auditors, we completed a review of the management of the Alumni Association's funds held in trust by the university. And following a comprehensive review of student career services at the university, we recommended, and Dr. Ricketts already referred to it, the development of a career services program within the Department of Cooperative Education, and committed $350,000 over 3 years to the program. We renewed our athletic sponsorship agreement with the university for another 3 years, which includes funding 2 $5,000 scholarships annually for female student athletes. We initiated equity, diversity, inclusivity, and accessibility training for board directors. and through our strategic plan implementation working group, have continued to work on our strategic plan mobilizing connections. Lastly, we committed $2,000 to the Athenaeum Journalism Scholarship, supporting the voices of diverse student writers on campus, and $1,000 in support of the biennial Wise Works event, which is Women in Science and Engineering. Acadia is a group of faculty, staff, alumni, and students dedicated to supporting and empowering girls and women who are interested or engaged in science, engineering, or art-related careers. And of course, we have our ongoing work with our affinity partners to provide valuable services to the alumni. As I complete my final report as president of the Alumni Association, I would like to thank everyone I've had the privilege of working with over the last 2 years while president. When I volunteered to serve as president, I had no idea that my term would largely be virtual during the time of a worldwide health crisis. The pandemic provided some very unique challenges for our operations, but I do believe we, like so many others, responded and figured out new ways to remain engaged and deliver programs and initiatives to our alumni and the greater alumni community. Thank you. And I would like to call on Hilary to provide her report. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie, very much. That's the one thing I miss about virtual is you can't mute yourself to cough. So excuse me. My name is Una Proudfoot, Executive Director of Alumni Affairs, and I identify as she, her, hers. And welcome to Wolfville and McMonkey. It's wonderful to see you here in person. We have missed you. I'll just take a couple of minutes. Fairly extensive report from both Donnie and me in the annual report that you have in print or online. When you talk about change, I mean, most people are kind of like, yeah, everyone likes a little bit of change. I think we can all agree that the change that we've seen in the last couple of years has been well beyond any change that we've seen in many decades, maybe. And while there's some frustrations that come as a result of it, I firmly believe there's been way more good than frustration that has resulted from this worldwide pandemic and our pivoting or cha-chaing. I think we pivoted so much, it felt like a cha-cha so many times during the last couple of years. So two things that I'd like to specifically highlight is the virtual events series and everything else that we've done virtually. The entire world changed with us, so it was kind of a do this to keep up or you're going to be left behind. But lots of great has come from that, and I think the biggest thing from an office perspective is the demographic that, or the increase in demographics that we've been able to engage in our event program and our communications. So we're reaching people in geographical parts of the world that we haven't reached because we don't physically go there or haven't physically been there. We're reaching a demographic of people at age and stage in their life that would normally be able to participate. And we're reaching further demographics, even with the program content that we've been developing over the last year or so. And just a shout out specifically to the Alumni Book Club that just started this year. Our first book was A Matter of Equality by Dr. Don Oliver. Tremendous engagement, really great conversation, post-book reading. A shout out to the board director, Mr. Ted Upshaw, for joining me and co-hosting that. Thank you very much. And our next book, we're close to deciding, so keep an eye out for that cliffhanger as we'll reach out to you very, very soon. The second part that I feel has really been a highlight from the world that we've seen in the last year is our care and our concern for others. I think that the pandemic has done a really great job of highlighting mental health and bringing attention to mental health and the importance in it. We've had some really great engagement from alumni around the world and even locally through communications that we've had to have virtually, but also recognizing the weight of the pandemic and the weight of the change in the last couple of years. So really good conversation and support, I think, has been a highlight for us in the office. Take a moment to say a very, very heartfelt thank you to the Alumni Association. I'm looking around the room at our president, our board, or other board directors, our incoming president. Your care and commitment and concern and passion for this university continues to astound me. I watch it on a daily basis. Your level of involvement, your interest, your suggestions, everything. So thank you. All members of the advancement team, this is my opportunity to say thank you to you and the other members of the university community. It's an all hands on deck kind of environment. We couldn't do it without everybody else. We're all in this together. You've heard the expression unsung hero. Well, I'm going to call one out in particular right now, and that is meticulous Melanie. We had an all alumni leaders meeting in November past, and we did this icebreaker. Melanie loves icebreakers, and she introduced, and the deal was you had to introduce yourself with an adjective that described you, and she introduced herself as meticulous Melanie, and I have never heard anything more accurate in my life. So this is my opportunity to say to the alumni community, to the Alumni Association Board, you already know this. The amount of detail, effort, meticulousness, support, creativity, just general housekeeping, if you will, that you provide to the association is unfathomable. Thank you for everything that you do. And that's it for me. Thank you.
So now, and thank you for that report, Lena. I will now ask our treasurer, Ms. Tammy Walker, to provide the 2021-2022 treasurer's report, and that can be found on page 22 of the annual report.
Thank you, Donnie. So just quickly, you can find financials on page 23, 24 in detail. Let me go through a few of these numbers with you. I'm not going to belabor each and every line item. So these are as of March 31st, so fiscal year ended March 31st, 2022. We recorded revenues this year of $287,552. And you can see from the very top line that our affinity, the revenue from our affinity partners, TD, Industrial Alliance, and BMO MasterCard was $216,000. Donations to the Alumni Fund, $52,000, and short-term interest of $18,000. On the expenditure side, recorded expenditures of $113,490. And just a really quick note, if you don't mind, there's certainly a discrepancy between the budgeted amount and actual disbursements. A good portion of that is the $150,000 that we had budgeted for career services that we've transitioned to this fiscal year. So that's showing net receipts for the year of about $174,000. And I'd just like to echo Donnie's comment earlier that the association is certainly in very good financial position and continues to be. On the asset side, we are showing total assets of $1.8 million and committed funds of that of $580,000. And just a couple of notes, if you don't mind, as well through on the balance sheet on the expenditure side. The Career Services Initiative, as was mentioned previously, is $350,000. That's over a 3-year period. And I just want to kind of highlight the line above that campaign for Acadia and explain that number a little bit. So if you recall, a few years back, we committed $1.5 million to the university's capital campaign. That $108,952 is our obligation that is not yet earmarked, if you like, for through programming or initiatives. So that's our remaining obligation to the campaign. I think that's really it. I don't really want to drag you through all the nitty-gritty, frankly, but I would like to thank very much Melanie for all your work. You've been tremendous, as Una has already mentioned. Una, of course, for all your help and support. Donnie, done a fantastic job. All the members of the Finance Committee for all your input and your support. And I'd like to welcome San Zhang as our new treasurer. I think that's it for me. I take any questions at this time?
No
No
questions?
questions. Yay.
All right, so with that, the next agenda item would be then to approve the financial report and the financials as circulated. And I guess I would ask Tammy if she would make that motion to.
So yes, if I could have a motion to accept this year's financials as presented, please.
Thank you, Bruce. And a seconder. Kyle, thank you. All right, thank you. So all those, again, we're back to our motion procedure. So all those in favor of the motion, as noted, silence is considered to be a vote in favor of the motion. Are there any members opposed to this motion? If so, please indicate so by raising your hand. Are there any members who wish to abstain from this motion? And seeing no hands raised, I declare this motion carried. Thank you very much. And the next,
There's
yes.
one hand.
Oh,
I'm not sure if it. Was a question or not, so.
Okay.
Hi, Dawn, do you have a question?
No question? All right, well,
May have been signify an aye.
yes, it could have been signifying aye. Thank you very much, Dawn. If there is a question that you want to direct to us, feel free to reach out to the board at any time and we'll be happy to answer questions. But this is our time on the agenda for our question session. So if there are any questions this morning with respect to matters addressed at this meeting or with respect to the association, I would ask those with a question to please raise your virtual hands or your hand here in the room. And with the assistance of Melanie, we would take your question. I would just ask that if you have a question, that when we reach out to you, please introduce yourself, state your year of graduation from Acadia, and should you wish to share your location. Are there any questions? There being no questions, then I would like to move on to our last order of business today, which is our nominations committee. And I would ask Mr. Ryan Conrad, chair of our nominations committee, to come forward. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Donalda. As Donalda mentioned, I'm Ryan Conrod. I'm the chair of the nominations committee for the board of directors. And I served that occupation as the past president. So looking forward to handing it over to Donalda after. Look, we had a great year with the nominations committee, a very active year. Donalda already mentioned about the governors that were appointed. So that was a busy year for us. That would be probably the most governors that we were appointed in a single year in quite some time. And it was great to reach out to the community, seek expressions of interest, and really review with the committee some of the outstanding alumni members we have. There really is an impressive group that were put forward as potential for that. And with that, I'd like to thank the committee before I go further. The nominations committee, that was a very active committee this year. Great discussions around the table, and also a big thanks to Una and Melanie for the support to the committee as well. So on to the order of business here. One of the important parts, or probably the most important, aside from appointing the governors, is to come forward to the annual general meeting and put forward a slate of directors and officers to serve the Alumni Association. And so I'll direct your attention to page 26 of the annual report, which shows that, and I see that Melanie is also sharing it on the screen here for us today. So we are proposing a slate of executive officers and directors that would fill the board and fill those officer positions. And with that, there's a number of returning officers and directors, and then some new officers and directors. So in terms of new directors, we could propose new directors. We could turn to page 27 and see some of a few notes about those individuals. And I'll just go through those 5 new directors that we're proposing briefly. So Barb Anderson, class of 77, is being proposed as a new director. Barb served a career in public health in Nova Scotia, distinguished career, and was involved in many other groups, societies, and activities. Following that career, she came back to Acadia in 2009 to serve out the position of director of the School of Nutrition and Dietetics. So the nomination committee is pleased to put forward Barb as a new director. Paul Black is the next one here as we go through. And Paul has served likewise a distinguished career in a number of areas. And Paul spent time in government, business, and NGOs in many different positions, and traveled the world as an international observer for elections. So Paul, hopefully that this election will proceed without any issues of procedural fairness. We also are proposing Dr. Ron Malcolm to become a director. And Dr. Malcolm is currently a resident in Kansas, and he's native to New Glasgow. Obviously is a student of Acadia and did a degree here, an education degree, so class of 82 and 83. And Dr. Malcolm, going through his CV, you're struck with just an absolute, he's a total expert in special education, has focused, had a career in special education for deaf and blind students, and is an absolute expert and scholar in the area of children with autism, parenting children with autism, and the development of children with autism. So we're very proud to be putting forward Dr. Malcolm as a nominee to the board. Moving on to page 29, we have Veronique Russell, Ronnie, from the class of 2016, who's here with us today, native of Markham. She was a recent graduate in the class of 16. It was recently appointed, actually, from what I understand, to the top 15 women's rugby athletes of the decade, which is pretty cool. She was part of the team in 2015 that took the rugby team here at Acadia to the AUS Championship, which is fantastic. And Ronnie's currently working at the University of New Brunswick, supporting research assistant and supporting curriculum building. And she's moving to Ireland in August, which is pretty exciting, to pursue a master's in education. So best of luck with that, Ronnie. And we look forward to welcoming you to the board. Olivia Shive rounds out the new proposed nominees up for election here today. And Olivia is currently a director of the board by way of an ex officio status as being the life class president of the class of 2021. Olivia has been a great supporter of the institution, a tremendously active director, involved in a number of different areas. She's currently in Western Canada working in veterinary medicine. She's a pharmaceutical sales representative and has a real passion for veterinary medicine and animals. So we look forward to welcoming Olivia back to the board in that position. Finally, I will mention the new ex officio member, so that we welcome the new life class president of 2023, who is Sophia Blanchard, and so she will be serving a term, ex officio term on the board. So with that, that goes through the new directors that we're proposing. And as we see on the screen and at page 26, that's the full slate of candidates that the nominating committee is putting forward. But it's also my duty to open it up for nominations if there be any from the board. So I will do a call 3 times for nominations, starting with the first, which is now a call for any further nominations. Second call for any further nominations. And the third and final call for any further nominations. Well, seeing none, nothing online showing up or in the room, I would put forward a motion to close the nominations. And could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Thank you, Tammy. And with that, I guess we'll call for the vote, and that would be, I guess, silence is assent. So all those in favor of the motion? Are there any members opposed to the motion? And finally, are there any abstentions to the motion? Well, that's fantastic. Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve the slate of officers and directors as proposed. Thank you, Matt. And a seconder for that motion. Thank you, Moira. And with that, I'll call for the vote on the motion, and silence again is will be assent to the motion. All those in favor? Are there any opposed to the motion? And finally, I call for abstentions on the motion. Well, hearing none, look, let me be the first to welcome all the new directors and congratulations to those returning directors and officers. Really exciting time for everybody, so congratulations. Great. I think that went without any issues of procedural fairness. I'll welcome Donalda back up.
Right. That's great. And with that, I would, where are we on the agenda? So at this point, I guess I get to turn this meeting over to Mr. Matt Rios, our newly elected president of the Acadia Alumni Association, to provide some closing remarks to the meeting. Welcome, Matt.
Donalda leaned over and said, "Good luck." So that tells you how keen she is for returning as class president. In closing our annual general meeting, I get the pleasure of extending our heartfelt thanks to those board members who are retiring. So I'll ask Melanie to start off and start off by acknowledging Hilary, Arenburg, class of 2012. Joining a board at any time in one's life is difficult. Doing so while starting a family and launching a career is incredible. Hilary, you have been an absolute pleasure to work with. I know Tammy and myself have very much enjoyed and appreciated your expertise on the finance committee. We look forward to your continued engagement, including at homecoming, and certainly look forward to seeing you in and around Yarmouth when we get out there for visits. So thank you very much for your contributions. We'll do that one, yeah. Next, we have David Davidson, class of 1981. David does not need further introduction for those that work with him. David has been a consummate expert on all things governance. I believe there was a period of time where he made governance cool again with the association. David has served in a number of different capacities at his time on the board, serving as the chair of the governance committee, as a member of our executive, and of course as secretary. During his time, he led significant reforms in our constitution, in our bylaws, in the development of a number of metrics related to sort of our board's success, including a board survey. For that, we're incredibly thankful. You set us up for success, and for that, we're very appreciative. So thank you very much, David. Next, we have Tiffany James, class of 2014. Tiffany's certainly joined us from Toronto and from Ottawa and has provided, I think, a very important perspective for our association. She's been an active member of both the Young Alumni and Communications Committee, and for that, we're, again, incredibly thankful. Next, we have Tammy Walker. Tammy has served our association, again, in a few different capacities, most notably as the treasurer of our association. She has taken significant efforts to provide our financials in a very accessible way. I think for a long time, then many members of our board of directors knew that we had a balance sheet, we knew that we had revenues, but understanding how those revenues worked or where they came from was always difficult. Tammy has really intentionally, I think, opened up our financials in a way that allows everyone to understand how and why we do the work that we do. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful, and I know so is our board. So thank you very much, Tammy. Next, we have Ryan Conrod. Ryan, you're free. So let's start there. Ryan, like me, served as a president of the Acadia Students Union. Clearly didn't get enough and quickly joined our board of directors and has served for over 10 years. During that time, Ryan was part of the team that initiated our strategic plan development. He has led our association in a way that I think you can be very proud of. Certainly, we are proud of the work that you've done. You set us up for success. You've pointed the way, and I think for all of us, we're incredibly appreciative of the work that you did, both as president, but also as past president. I know your family is looking forward to you having a little bit of a break from Acadia, but we know that we're not finished with you yet. We look forward to continuing to engage with you, and certainly are very appreciative for your years of service to our association, to the university. So thank you very much. Last but not least, I get to again thank Donalda MacBeath. Donalda is the 99th association president for our organization, and we've been very well served by her over the past 2 years. I am fearful for a time where Donnie will not be by my side. Her and I have become the odd couple, texting each other through meetings. I now can tell what Donnie is thinking just by making eye contact with her. She's been an incredible president for our association. The work that she has done has set us up again in a way that I think allows for us to think meaningfully about what we want to do moving forward as an organization. She has put tremendous effort into supporting our strategic plan, ensuring that it is operationalized in a very strategic and meaningful way. She's taken huge efforts to ensure our organization represents and looks like our alumni community, including efforts to ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of our strategic plan and our work moving forward. Donnie takes pleasure in sending me text messages with pictures of all the things that she gets to do in retirement. I'm looking forward to you and Martin continuing to enjoy retirement, including in Smith's Cove. At our most recent alumni gala, I got the pleasure of again sort of thanking Donalda, but also sharing with her that we were going to be able to provide her with an Arenburg chair, another one to join the deck there in Smith's Cove. Donnie's going to be going to England soon to see her first grandchild, Jackson. We're very thankful for that. And again, I think on behalf of our entire board and indeed our alumni community, thank you for your support. We very much appreciate it. So, again, thank you very much for our outgoing directors. Very much appreciate your efforts. As Kyle sort of mentioned from the audience, we've never seen him so happy and enthusiastic. To all of those joining us, your board of directors is an incredibly diverse group in terms of background, gender, geographic location, bringing a very skill set to the table. But at the end of the day, we're volunteers that believe in the mission of the association and to giving back to an institution that has been instrumental in shaping who we are today. We have an exceedingly engaged group of directors at the table, and I'm very much looking forward to working with all of them in the coming year. In closing, I would like to thank everyone for attending our AGM meeting. We would appreciate your feedback based on your experience today. At this time, I'd also like to join Una and Tammy and Donalda in thanking Melanie Jackson, our Senior Alumni Officer, for all of her work in organizing and moderating this annual general meeting. I'd also like to thank Una and Nancy and the rest of our staff for all the efforts that they've also put forward in making this weekend happen, on top of course, what is a busy time with convocation. Now, unless there's something that I've missed, I will call for a motion of adjournment. I see a motion from Ted. I'd ask for a seconder at this point. Leah enthusiastically. Again, all those in favor of the motion will indicate by staying silent. All those in favor? Are there any members present who wish to oppose the motion? Any of those who wish to abstain? Hearing none, I declare the motion passed. Thank you for joining us today. Please be safe and be well. A wonderful day.